all those things. Bet you lie, it isn't hers. But could she love? Could she woo? Could she coo? Has anybody seen my gal? Now if you run into a 5'2", covered in furs, diamond rings and all those things, bet your life it isn't hers. But could she love? Could she woo? Could she coo? Has anybody seen my? Anybody seen my? Anybody seen my gal? Ticket, step right up. He said, there's no time like the present. I said, that was once. He asked me if I still believed in miracles and such. I said, no, I can't afford to. And he said, oh, that's tough. He said, hey, where do we go from here? I said, honey, I don't know. Is it hot in here or is it me? He
Well,
said,
good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Sulk-Stream. I'm your host, the Incredible Sulk, and I hope you guys are doing well tonight, and every night, and all nights, and all those nights that I'm not here to tell you that I hope you're doing well. I hope you do good on those nights, too, and I hope you do good on the nights before you met me and before I met you, and the nights after we know each other and we move on in our lives. I hope you do good, and I hope you are good. That's how much I care. That's how much I am for you, my people, my cult, my comrades. Thank you. Welcome to the Sulk-Stream. I'm happy to be here tonight. I'm happy to be with you guys. It is a Thursday. It's a Thirsty Thursday. So open whatever you got, drink whatever you have. Because we're diving into the ye old Epstein files. So this will be fun, or informative, or interesting, or shocking, or sobering. It could be a lot of things. It could be none of those things. You know how the Sulk-Stream works. We kind of go where the wind takes us. And, wherever this Lolita Express may take us as well, too. To some very powerful people's, I don't know, island? Perhaps? Maybe not. What island? Who? No one has ever been on that island, and nobody by Sulk-Stein? Nothing is like that has ever existed in the history of time, and you're silly for believing this outright conspiracy theory. Oh, you think the moon is made of cheese? Do you think vaccines are bad for you? Are you crazy? There's no way there's a high-up cadre of very powerful people that go to some island to have weird, freaky sex with underage women, children. You know, impossible. Impossible. And, we're just waiting for the whole Epstein thing to blow over. Anyways, I thought I wouldn't let it blow over. I thought I'd be here. And I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna throw my 2 cents, my hat into the ye old Epstein ring and see what we can get out of it. What do you guys think? You think that's going to be fun? You think that's going to be entertaining? I think so. So get comfy. Get cozy. Get a nice bottle of ether. Get your whips and your chains and your weird animal masks and your blood ritual outfit. Because we're going to the Epstein Island. We're hopping on the old Lolita Express. And it's going to be a blast. It's going to be a blast for some people. Some people who talk, right? They're going to shoot themselves twice in the head. You know, Epstein's lawyer just died. Did he now? Did he now? I bet his bank accounts are still active too. I'm not saying anything. I'm not one of those crazy conspiracy theorists. No, not me. Not me. That would be irrational, illogical, and just nonsense. Just nonsense. Anyways, if you're listening to me at work, keep working. And thank you for having me in your ears or in your car at work. And if you are driving, please drive safely, buckle up, and hopefully your car doesn't explode. You know, shit like that happens sometimes. It's weird. It is. It's just weird. Anyways, buckle up. Again, it's a Thursday night. I'm the Incredible Sulk. This is the Sulk-Stream. And this is called the Epstein Cover-Up. Enjoy.
This video is brought to you by Incognito.
Okay.
We're
going to dive right into it. We're diving right into it.
Where do you even begin when talking about Epstein?
There's a
lot. You start at the
lot.
beginning, when he got a job at the prestigious New York Dalton School, despite having zero.
By the way, an educator. He was a teacher. Shocking, right? It turns out one of the world's most powerful pedophiles just happened to be a teacher in his early years, right? Because there's no way. I mean, like that's not usual. There's no way pedophiles want to become teachers and hang out with their in a target-rich environment. No, that's just silly.
Qualifications. Does it matter that
silly.
the headmaster responsible for hiring him was Donald Barr, father of William Barr, who was the subsequent Attorney General of the United States of America for the Trump administration in its first term?
Coincidence.
Would people care that he walked around the school wearing fur coats and gold chains, flirting with young girls like a stereotypical pimp? Or is the collective attention...
That would be pretty funny, right? Like, your math teacher's just walking around. He's got like a cane and stuff like that, and a big old fuzzy hat, and a pimp, like the coat and stuff like that. And yeah, oh, the cat's here.
Attention span of society
Hold
now
on.
is so short
I forgot about
that people
the cat.
have all but forgotten.
I forgot about the cat.
It's a rhetorical
everybody.
question, to be quite frank, because the story of Jeffrey Epstein is the story of money, power, politics, and drama, which are collectively the most addictive concepts in human history. A little over a week ago, I made a video called The Epstein Disaster of 2025, which reviewed a troubling situation where the United States government, namely the current administration of Donald Trump, appeared to be mishandling the Epstein file publication.
Yeah, the entire Epstein thing, when they release the files and they're all like, oh, it's phase one. It's phase one for these bad boys. Here comes phase one of the Epstein files. And then you just get, what was that lady's name? I'm sure it'll come up. I don't even know. But just comes out and it's all blacked out. It's all blacked out. But who's actually surprised about that? Are you guys surprised? I'm not surprised about that. Not even a little. I knew it was going to be a big nothing. Just like it always is. If the real Epstein files ever come out, which, I don't know, I could go either way, whether they will come out or they will not come out, because anything can happen. But I know if they do come out, it will be essentially society ending. Or, and I'm not talking like a meteor is going to hit the earth or something like that, but it might release a few missiles. It might release a few missiles. Okay, just a few thermonuclear warheads, just because the people in power already, they're not going to be like, well, we fucked up, now we're going to have to erase things. It's like shaking an Etch-a-Sketch, right? They're not going to release power and just be like, oh, you got us. You got us. Sorry. Because they know they're going to get dragged to the town square and get the old guillotine treatment. So, no, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. They're going to, oops, I leaned on the nuclear button. Oops, I did that. And then just erase society. Or at least as much as they can to maintain control, right? They don't want to nuke the entire thing. How else will they get their fancy yachts built? And their fancy jet planes and their spaceships? No, but it's quite possible that a couple of cities, a couple of dozen cities may be nuked. Or they could just not come out at all, which is actually probably more likely. Let's be honest. The JFK thing's been under wraps for like well over half a century at this point, so it's not like they have a problem keeping secrets, and it doesn't even have to be like a legit secret, right? It could be a public secret where everybody knows, but everybody agrees, including the media, just not to talk about it. Everybody knows, but no one's going to talk about it because either they're going to get dragged through the mud, get their bank accounts shut down, or just straight up offed, right? Their car explodes. They off themselves, right? Jump off a building, or, shoot themselves from a quarter mile away in the back of the head, with a 50 cal sniper rifle or something like that. It just explodes. They're all like, yeah, this was clearly an suicide. Yeah. And then everyone's just like, yep, we agree. Just like the whole thing that happened to Epstein, right? He offed himself. The cameras went off. The guards were sleeping. No, everyone's just like this for 2 minutes, for like 5 minutes. I don't know how long it was, but it was a very suspicious amount of time. And the cameras. The cameras are just like, you know what? I'm going to not watch this either. It is. And then everybody in the media and the government is all like, yeah, didn't see that happen. And yes, everybody in the world knows that Epstein definitely did not off himself, but he's probably not even dead. Let's be for real. His bank accounts are still up and running. They're still moving money in and out of them. The dude is almost certainly not dead. Everybody knows this. There's nobody who doesn't think that Epstein, or look, they might think he's dead, but who believes that shit? Boomers? Do boomers believe that? I would believe that. I would believe, because they're constantly taking in like Fox or CNN or whatever those legacy media bullshits. So maybe the boomers would believe that. I could see that. But like nobody with their head that's not like way up in their ass believes that. Right? Nobody. And then what are we going to do? Nothing. There's nothing anybody can do. That's just it. We all know something that we can't do anything about. Doesn't that suck? Doesn't that, what are we going to do? Our politicians are deep in the pocket, and, you can't even become a politician unless you're already deep in the pocket. Anyways, I'm ranting before we're even getting into it. So let's let this cook a little bit. All right, let's let this cook a little bit.
Or lack thereof. The focus of that video, which I'll link down below, obviously, was inconsistency. High-ranking officials like the director of the FBI, Kash Patel, or Deputy Director Dan
Background already sulked his pants. I'm sorry.
Signaling before their implementation to these roles that the Epstein story was a top priority. Statements by Attorney General Pam Bondi about how the Epstein list was physically on her desk.
Pam Bondi. It's on my desk. Hold on. I got some very important documents on my desk, too. Hold on. Yeah. No. Not that. Not that either. Oh, wow. That's a spicy one. Nope. Not that. I assume we can leave the word the. Okay, so we won't mark that one out. But the rest of that, yeah, that's gone. Right there. And then, yep. Yeah, it's gone right there, too. Thank you, Pam. Thank you for doing us a fucking solid. You really are knocking it out of the park. What an eye-opener. really blowing the lid off this case. You know. What do you know, Pam? What do you know that you're not telling us? Why is it so sensitive that you're not allowed to tell anybody, right? Oh, I'm going to release the Epstein files, and it's just a fucking brick of black ink. What do you know? We should, I don't know if I can say that, but we should Guantanamo Bay her and see if we can get something out of her. But it doesn't even matter because the people who run Guantanamo Bay are the same people who run that goddamn island.
With a highly publicized Phase 1 release occurring right in front of the White House, actually. Jokes made on podcasts by Vice President J.D. Vance saying, quote, "We need to release the Epstein list," or even more importantly,
I wouldn't doubt that he's on it too. I'm just going to fucking level with you. I wouldn't doubt that shit either. I know Trump has to be on it. Like, I would be very surprised if he wasn't. But to be fair, to be completely fair, the other one, Kamala, whatever, that fucking cackling alcoholic, she was definitely involved in some manner too. She probably traffics them or like watches them or peels like people's skin, like faces off and wears them and go, ha ha ha. These people are all animals. They're all animals. And we've been ruled by them for my entire lifetime, that's for sure. But probably much, much longer. At least the majority of the last century.
Trump's own explicit statements that if elected, he would release the list of clients and all surrounding files on Jeffrey Epstein. Except, spoiler alert, that didn't happen. Instead of declassified files, bombshell revelations, or justice of any kind, we got a cover-up, a massive one. And as that cover-up continues to implode, I want to take some time here and show...
Imploding. This is not looking good for Trump at all. It's not. It's not. Look, a lot of... When he was running, he was constantly saying, we need to release the Epstein files. I think it's a good thing we have the files. We're going to release the Epstein files. Just do it, dude. Just do it. And now he's really backpedaling and stuff and be like, who gives a shit about that? That's old news. He's dead. He's dead. And I'm not a politician or anything. Maybe I should become a politician. You guys think I'd make a good politician? Probably. God, can you imagine that world where like I run for office and I become, I don't know, maybe not the president, but the king. Could you imagine King Sulk, King John again? I think I would be tough but fair. I'd be a wise ruler. I know that. But I'm staying low key. I'm just going to be running my cult over here and, just minding my own business. Not at all. That's the last thing I do is mind my own business. Because it's all my business. Mind you, it is all my business. I am here and I have eyes and I have ears and stuff like that. So any information that goes into those orifices, I consider my business. You know why? Because I can. Because I am a full-grown adult man, and I have a thinking brain, and guess what? I get to do with that brain what I want. And a lot of times, it is misused. And a lot of times, it's neurotic, and it's anxious, and there's a bunch of other problems with it, but sometimes it's onto things, You got to pick the good from the bad. Anyways, vote for Sulk. 2030. Let's say 2030.
Case a bird's eye view. Who, what, when, where, and why. Let's get to it. The story of
whenever the next election year is. I don't even know. Is it 2030? It's 2028? I don't know.
Jeffrey Epstein, on the most basic level, is widely known. Private island, private plane.
Onia says you can't leave the word "the" unblacked out. It gives too much information. Okay, all right. Sorry about that. Okay. Good. Oh. Yeah, okay. Oh, and that too. Oh, hold on. Yeah, can't have any of that. No. Oh, right here too. Yeah. You know what? Hold on, give me a minute. Wow. You sick son of a bitch. Wow. Her too, huh? I guess I should have known. It's just that. She probably goes through like fucking 100 of these a day. Just blacking out things, blacking it out. What's the point? Just put it in the fucking shredder.
Powerful friends and horrible crimes. But far less scrutinized.
Onia says Sulk for president, Cthulhu for VP. That's a winning ticket. Right? That is a winning ticket. By the way, Hulk Hogan died. That's a bummer. I don't know why that's such a bummer. Ozzy Osbourne died too. And usually I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. But for some reason, Hulk Hogan was very nostalgic for me. Like, it was very much a part of my childhood, I guess. I don't know. But Hulk Hogan died, and now I feel like the boomers are starting to pick up the death rate. I feel like they're dying a lot more often these days. And it should, like, we're getting to that point where they're going to start dropping like flies. And the boomers are a huge generation, right? This is a complicated issue, right? Because the boomers have a vast amount of wealth. They're the richest generation in history ever, right? And no generation before or after will ever be as rich. Obviously, because they got in early on a Ponzi scheme. They established a Ponzi scheme to make themselves wealthy and then extract wealth from future generations. So this is why they became so rich. It's not through like hard work or being geniuses, but they all think that to be the case. But they're also a very large voting bloc, too. They have been in charge of the country ever since they turned 18, which was like in the 70s or something like that. So they've never known a time when they weren't in charge. So if a vast swath of boomers die off in the next 4 or 5 years, which it's probably going to be the case, a lot of them will be dying from now until the mid 2030s, maybe the early 2030s, a lot of them. And so I don't know how they're going to handle this. A lot of them are going to piss away every dime they have. So if you're expecting like some sort of inheritance, I mean, it's probably not going to happen. It's all going to go towards end of life care or some boomer cruise or something like that. But it doesn't even matter. It's a paradigm shift when this generation peters out and starts to die off en masse. And that should happen in the next 5 or 10 years. Should. But who knows? Anything could happen. AI could come in with like some sort of age rejuvenation technology. And that sounds crazy, but it's actually very likely that they'll find some sort of cure for aging in the next 5 or 10 years. And then we'll just have like a permanent generation of extremely wealthy boomers, and then just everybody after them that lives in like favelas and like tin roof shanties and stuff. It sounds crazy, but I mean, what doesn't sound crazy these days? Does Epstein sound crazy? It sounds crazy, but it's absolutely true. So, I mean, as a millennial, I only grew up with crazy ass shit. I was like 10 or 10 or 11 or something like that when 9/11 happened. So ever since then, it's just been fucking wild. You know, it's just been one wild bullshit, and the housing market crashed, and then it's just been wild my entire life. So excuse me if I'm jaded and like having crazy out there conspiracy theories, but God, they keep coming true. So why not reach for the stars, you know? Do moonshots on your next fucking conspiracy theory. Chances are you're going to be right. That's just from experience. You know, that's not even me being a crackpot with a fucking, like, an aluminum foil hat, tin foil hat. That's just what's going on now. Conspiracies are right, and I don't know. We're all fucked and controlled in some weird way, and I don't know. Jaded, pissed, but like powerless, like a hopelessly powerless kind of. But maybe that'll change soon, or maybe it won't. Anyways,
by a certain demographic of people until recently was his relationship with Donald Trump. It turns out Epstein and Trump go way back as
Onias says the world actually start to fix when the boomers are dead. If
friends. They've been filmed together at parties. There's audio of Epstein claiming to be Trump's, quote, closest friend for 10 years. Trump himself has said, I've known Jeff for 15 years, terrific guy. And much more recently, as per exclusive reporting from the Wall Street Journal, a supposed birthday letter has been revealed.
You gave me a Reddit link, it doesn't work. You can find another way, but that Reddit link doesn't work.
In which Trump and Epstein correspond together, with Trump allegedly saying, quote, we have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Later adding, a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret, end quote. I think it's
That's pretty dark. There's only 11 people here. Where the fuck is everyone?
worth mentioning that Trump is now already threatening to sue the Wall Street Journal for publishing that story, calling it a disgusting and filthy.
Reddit is gay. Reddit is gay, and they probably have my like PC fucking mark, so I can't even open anything from Reddit. But seriously, where the fuck is everyone?
Rag, obviously unfamiliar with the Streisand effect, but the horribly unpleasant reality we are all.
You guys know what the Streisand effect is, obviously. But for those of you that don't know, the Streisand effect is, it comes from Barbara Streisand, where there was a picture of her on the internet, and she didn't like it. And then so she actively tried to have it erased from the internet. And so that just made everyone share it more and more. And it became even more prevalent on the internet. And so that's the Streisand effect. If you try to get rid of something on the internet, that'll just give it life and make it grow even faster. So, you know, it's about focus. The internet is about focus. You can't focus on something to get rid of it. You have to just ignore it. And then maybe it'll go away.
Faced with is that Jeffrey Epstein was integrated at every conceivable level.
You didn't get the orgy invite either? Was there an orgy that happened tonight that I didn't get invited to? I'm the guy. I'm the main guy. I'm the main bull. No, I doubt there was an orgy. I would have been invited.
In the most powerful circles on Earth, the spiderweb of connections that are completely impossible to ignore. Online browsing is now basically ubiquitously associated with the concept of data harvesting, where the websites you visit and the services you use harvest insane amounts of information about you and then sell it for profit. Practically every single technology company in the world does this now, and you can't really stop them. However, one thing that you can do is curb the spread of that data whenever possible. You see no benefit from companies keeping and selling your information, aside from maybe customized advertisements, but that's not even a benefit. It's a nuisance. So for anyone who wants to cut back on the number of places where your data is stored, sold, and displayed, which can result in spam phone calls, text messages, and junk mail, among many other dangers, Incogni is hearing the channel. Okay, time for the info dump.
Hey, all right, I'll do that. $20. There we go. Oh, there we go. Social Observer, $20 says, where are all the Sulk-Maniacs? I don't know, dude. I don't know. It's weird. Is everyone just out? Is everyone bummed about Hulk? I don't know. That's weird. It's weird tonight.
In 2002, speaking to New York Magazine, Donald Trump, referring to Jeffrey Epstein, said, quote, he's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side.
Like 14. Like, I mean, come on.
No doubt about it, Jeffrey enjoys his social life, end quote. But then 2 short years later, in 2004, the pair had a falling out with one another, owing to a real estate deal. The gist of it is that they were each trying to purchase a particular mansion called Maison de l'Amitié, which ironically means a house of friendship in French.
House of friendship. They always have these weird, and like, God, it sounds creepy, doesn't it? So is this what's going to happen? This is the millennials, and then this is the boomers. This is in perpetuity. This is the boomers, and then this is the millennials. Where is this? I don't even know where this is, but this is stark. The giant Olympic-sized swimming pool. Let's see if we can zoom in on that. Is there beautiful women there? They take all the beautiful women from this side and then put them over here, right, where they're going to have more fun. And they have no problem with it. They don't want to be in the favelas. This is gross, right? The sewage in the streets and stuff like that, it's nasty. So there's just a bunch of ugly women and men over here. And, yeah, over here are the beautiful women. Until they get old. Until they get too old, and then they go back. Then they go back over here. So, they can't stay. They can visit. They can see the sights and stuff like that and taste the good foods and stuff. But after that, no, you go back here. You go back here. And then a new crop comes in that some of them are even related to these people. But that doesn't matter.
French, during which they aggressively outbid each other and undercut their competitor deliberately. Trustee on the case, Joseph.
Communists love inequality as much as it only works with slave labor. Yeah. Communism is not a real thing. Communism is not a real thing. Because the idea of communism is like, well, we all share from a shared pool of resources. We all get equal. They get to, I forget the quote, but it's all like what you need and who can provide. I forget the exact quote. But that's never how it works. It always goes to the politicians. Always goes to the famous people. It always goes to the elite, right? It's just much, much more concentrated, right? It's far more concentrated. The elite get far richer, and then the proletariat or the normal poor people get much, much poorer. Yeah. It's the bourgeoisie over here, and then the yuck people. They get nothing. So, but I mean, like, what are we going to do now? Where every job is essentially going to be taken over by a computer, by a robot, and this is like very much on the horizon, right? Where they're not going to need humans, period, essentially. Is there just going to be a huge, huge, huge underclass of people, and then some sort of Elysium-style neighborhoods, perhaps on space stations, but most likely just on Earth, and very nice neighborhoods? No, I don't think there is. I think there's going to be very nice neighborhoods, and then the killing fields. Because there's no reason to keep around tons and tons and tons of useless people. They're only going to revolt. They're only going to revolt. It's only going to cause a problem. The elite's already known this, and they have known this for a long time. And they are planning for it. If you don't think they're planning for it, you're dumb. Or I'm not a conspiracy theorist like I am. So, maybe I'm the dumb one. I would believe you if you said I was the dumb one. I believe that. I mean, I've been called that like a million times.
Joseph Lazinski calls the two saying things
a million
like,
times.
Quote, you don't want to do deals with him. He doesn't have the money, end quote. Donald Trump eventually came out ahead.
Background noise says the favela gunfight videos are pretty cool. Send me one. Find one. Send it.
In that competition, paying over $41 million for the property. But the damage seemed to be done, and the two would never really appear to be close again.
China is not helping African nations. China doesn't give a shit about Africans. It doesn't like... Chinese people don't like Africans. Chinese people don't like Japanese. Chinese people don't like anybody but Chinese people. They have a very strong in-group preference, and this goes even outside of China. In like Central America, South America, North America, Chinese people stick together, right? And a lot of them still work for the Chinese government, especially in Central America, but also in like California. There's a lot of Chinese spies. There's a lot of them. No, they are very strongly in group. So when they go into Africa, they're not helping the Africans. They're colonizing. They're colonizing, and in a lot of cases, they're increasing suffering and enslaving the Africans. The Africans just cannot help but be enslaved. They just cannot help it. It just happens time after time after time after time. And it's probably never going to stop. I'm sorry, Africans. That's a you problem. That's not like the rest of the world is racist. Although it's true, the entire world is racist. So deal with it. What do you want? What do you want? Okay, you're going to be enslaved over and over and over again. And now that like Nigeria has internet, they might even see this. If you're in Nigeria watching this, you can't romance scam me. That's not going to work. I'm not going to give out my information or anything like that. So I'm not 65 years old. You know, you can't email me being like, "Hi, I'm Anna de Armas. Can you send me some Apple gift cards?" Because I'll be like, I'm out of my Apple gift cards. Ooh, sorry, Anna. Big fan though. Big fan. Yeah. But you just can't get enslaved. And now it's by the Chinese. And they will kill you. The Chinese do not have any sort of like human rights thing. They're actually notorious for that. So, it is what it is.
For that. Donald Trump would later go on to sell the mansion just 4 years later to a Russian billionaire named...
I mean, Africans couldn't figure out how to domesticate grass. That's not even... They can't even domesticate cats. And cats domesticate themselves. All you have to do is not eat it. Right? There's a cat right here. It's right here. You know why it hangs out with me all the time? Because I don't fucking eat it. That's the only reason. She goes out every day and she'll like kill stuff and like, you know, she has the option to never come back. Just never ever come back and live wild and free. But she comes back simply because I'm not devouring her because I'm starving. You can't even domesticate a cat. That is pathetic. That's really sad. Like, that's how. I know how, because they eat them.
Dmitry Rybolovlev through a shell company called Country Road Property LLC, which is a whole separate thing that I have a multitude of questions about. But the main point is that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein appear to have ended their long-standing and close friendship over real estate in 2004.
Meh.
So why does it matter? Well, it matters because shortly after this, in 2005, Jeffrey Epstein faced his first round of criminal trafficking and conspiracy charges in the Southern District of New York. This is hypercritical because that first round of charges, including the specific allegation that the girls were being trafficked to other powerful individuals, not just Epstein, with over 30 victimized young girls already in 2005.
That's in New York. I thought a lot of the chicks he got was from Florida, but they could be from everywhere, right? But I'm like, how do you like recruit these girls? How did that process work? Was it I wouldn't even begin to know. And they probably have that. It's probably on the file, you know. It's probably like, okay, let's go ahead. Because there's probably specific high schools that are deeply entrenched, probably with the Democratic Party and the teachers unions and stuff, that are feeder schools to these organizations, right? I wouldn't doubt that CPS is Child Protective Services is also involved. I wouldn't doubt that in a minute, because a lot of times CPS will get children from low income, you know, less fortunate households, and then they'll just disappear. And then they're marked as a runaway. And then the cops are legally not allowed to investigate. Once it's marked as a runaway from CPS, that's it. Case closed. That's it. That's it. That's it. So, yeah, I wouldn't doubt that they're heavily involved, but also the teachers' unions are heavily involved, administrators, that kind of thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Ended with what can really only be described
they're all
as
traitors.
A sweetheart plea deal. Under the supervision of Alex Acosta, U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida at the time, Epstein was allowed to plead out of federal court, gaining immunity for himself and his co-conspirators.
A crime. That's a crime.
Then serving just 13 months in county jail, which is nothing compared to what it would have been at a federal level. Except the real icing on the cake is that when the house of cards came finally tumbling down all around him, all the way in 2020, it was found that this sweetheart plea deal was illegal. Alex Acosta broke the law in favor of Jeffrey Epstein. Want to know the kicker? Alex Acosta, after this deal took place, well after it, was appointed as Secretary of Labor in the first term of President Trump. Oh, and when speaking about the Epstein case before selection, according to the Daily Beast, he said, quote, "I was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone," end quote.
Belong to intelligence, CIA, what was the Israeli one? Mossad? So you just, okay, and then just leave it alone? So what? People in the intelligence community just get left alone to do very serious crimes? Why? Because that sounds like they're above the law. That's bad. And like when JFK became president, he said he wanted to smash the CIA and scatter the bits to the wind. And shortly after that, he painted a street in Dealey Plaza. I'm sure that was a coincidence.
Let's just get this part fully straight. The guy who cut Epstein loose, effectively, deliberately under-prosecuting him and his co-conspirators and shielding everyone involved from federal charges, broke the law when he did that, and then
broke the law. O'Neill says, remember when the British mother that forced her 12-year-old daughter to apologize to the Arabs that kidnapped and AR'd her daily for 3 years? That's where Epstein got the kids from, shitty liberal single mothers. Yeah, I mean, partially true. It's probably more systematic than that. I mean, there are single mothers that are like extremely liberal and will sacrifice their own kids. I mean, like, look at the abortion statistics, right? A lot of like very liberal women will have their kids aborted with glee, just because they can say they got an abortion, right? Not because they're in any sort of dire straits or anything like that, or any sort of medical necessity for it. They'll just get an abortion just as like a badge of honor, a sick badge of honor for these people. So like offering your kids up for sexual molestation it doesn't really surprise me at all, even a little bit.
And claimed that Epstein was an intelligence asset publicly, after which he gets an appointed position in the first Trump administration. That's kind of strange, isn't it? Rhetorical, again, because yes, it is, but we're not even remotely close to being done.
Nope.
In 2007, although the documents were never made public until much, much later, a woman named Virginia Guffrey was approached by law enforcement, both American and Australian, after being identified as one of Epstein's victims. Guffrey would go on to be the tip of the spear, basically, when it came to the fall of Epstein, and her bravery should be forever recognized, I think. But there's a key factor here in how she came to be abused in the first place that honestly can't be overlooked. Virginia Guffrey was recruited and groomed by Ghislaine Maxwell at Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. 16 at the time, she was working there as a spa attendant, only to get swept up in...
That's not good. That's not good news. That Mar-a-Lago, owned by Trump, and of course in Florida, that's damning, dude. That's not good. That's not good. She was working for you at, I assume, she was a masseuse. She's a 16-year-old masseuse. I mean, I would have been like, if she was like a golf cart girl where she like handed out drinks and stuff, I mean, like, I guess that's kind of one thing. And those bitches make a lot of money. But like a masseuse, you should be at least 18. I mean, come on.
In the horrifying world of Epstein and become the victim of many powerful men. Speaking with the BBC...
Fat says, very sketch if this guy is getting all his facts off Wikipedia. I don't know where he's getting his facts.
In 2019, she said, quote, "I couldn't comprehend how in the highest levels in the government, powerful people were allowing this to happen. Not only allowing it to happen, but participating in it," end quote. Once again,
you couldn't comprehend that, but that makes perfect sense to me. Again, you do not get to the highest levels in government unless you play ball, right? Look, when you're getting into these positions of power, these political positions of power, and even in like Hollywood and like the media and stuff like that, and these real legacy entertainment businesses, You gotta. They're gonna tap you on the shoulder one day and be like, "Hey, you like this or something?" You're gonna be in the know in some way, right? Not necessarily that you have to participate, but you are going to know, right? You're going to be offered, and if you don't take up the offer, it'll be fine, but they're going to think there's a chance you're going to snitch on people. Also, they're trying to blackmail you, right? And the only way you can actually get higher up in these positions of power is to let yourself be blackmailed in this way, because they're not going to allow you to advance any further if they think you're going to take down the entire system. That's just it. You have to be controlled before they let you past a certain level in government. This is just a fact. Guy, girl, no matter what party, even though there's only two really, you're going to be controlled once you are at this certain level. I mean, it was probably governor and above, right? Maybe not mayor, maybe, but I'm sure a lot of mayors are probably under the thumb, But like governor and above, yeah, you're probably involved in some sketchy stuff. They probably have a nice dossier on you, and you are being blackmailed by one party or another.
And reaffirming, just like the original indictment from 2005, all the way back then, that Epstein was running a full-scale operation which catered to the rich and powerful. Flash forward to 2016, and we get this right here. Jane Doe versus Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein.
New York mayor for sure. Yeah. The Florida mayor. Right? Come on. The California mayor, definitely. There's only... governor. Florida governor. But yes, the New York mayor for sure. And like other large cities like that. But yeah, all those governors, mayors, and stuff like that are probably... I mean, they probably were balls deep in a 14-year-old at some point, and it's on camera. I'm sorry to be crass, but this is a Sulk stream. It's going to be crass from time to time. I don't even know if this shit is going to go out on YouTube. They're probably going to be like, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. I mean, there was only like a few people watching anyway on Rumble. I don't know where everybody is. Maybe they're at Pessy's. I don't know.
Jane Doe is actually a woman named Katie Johnson.
You have to have a
handler.
handler,
exactly. This document at all because the content.
You have to have a handler that is involved in intelligentsia, right? Either Mossad or the CIA or MI6 or fucking whatever Australians is. And I don't know if China is so much involved. China doesn't even have a name for their intelligence. So, I don't know. I don't know what the deal with China is on this certain thing. I'm sure they've been tried to be recruited, but they seem very insular, very, very cloistered about their politics and their intelligence and stuff like that. So, because I think they know that it's a blackmailing situation going on over here, and blackmailing doesn't work like that on Asians. It doesn't. There's a story about the Indonesian prime minister or king or something. I think it was a king that went to Russia to have a meeting with Putin and stuff like that. And they put cameras in his suite, and then they sent in a bunch of Russian hookers to bang the fuck out of him, right? And he did. He banged them. He banged them all. And then they showed the tape because blackmail is ubiquitous in politics. Let's just get that out of the way. And they showed the tape to the king, and they were all like, do what we tell you or we're going to release this. And then the whole world is going to see it, and the people of your country will hate you. And he laughed. And he's all like, no, they're going to think I'm the man. They're going to think I'm the fucking man. It doesn't work the same. They just have different values and stuff like that. Like, Indonesians aren't going to give a shit if their king banged a bunch of hookers in Russia. Of course not. That's like their thing, dude. So yeah, they kind of have to keep a short leash, not like on values as well, right? So they're going to. They also control the media, obviously. So they're going to use the media to say how terrible this is, while on the back end, giving it to the politicians. So the politicians are also afraid of the people, right? Because politicians are still afraid of the people. The people are very dangerous to politicians. That's why they're trying to eliminate them all, right? And replace them with robots and stuff. So there's no need for people whatsoever anymore. But yeah, the entire system is a tangled web like this. So, Hollywood works with the CIA, intelligence communities, and they also work with politicians. And there's this entire elite web pushing narratives and then threatening people to be exposed to the narratives that they pushed, right? It's all connected. That's all I'm saying. I'm a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy.
Graphic. But this previous lawsuit alleges horrible, horrible things.
Frozen Asian is cooler than I thought.
The
Yeah.
interesting part, however, is that the case was dropped and refiled multiple separate times, adding more and more witnesses in between those filings. But
yeah, Frozen Asian is actually Yakuza.
I do want to make it clear that
Pretty
eventually the case was.
Yeah, when he takes off his shirt, he actually has to put makeup on his body on Fridays because he's covered in tattoos. He's got the he's covered in tattoos, and it's all the faces of the victims that he's had over the years. There's a lot of faces. Social Observer Adam Green's theory is the Jays created Christianity, create a base guilt religious system susceptible to blackmail. I don't think Christianity, but I do think that about Islam. I think they may have created Islam. Because if you look at the timing of Islam, it came like 600 years later. And if you look at like the values of Islam, where it's very sexually based, right? Their religion is very focused on getting laid, right? It's almost exclusively like if you die and you're good, then you get laid by a bunch of hot bitches in the afterlife. If you're a good Muslim man if you get laid by a bunch of hot bitches in this life and have like multiple wives and stuff like. I feel like that could be the case. I don't think that about Christianity. However, here's a thing. Christianity could have been heavily altered over the course of history by one council, one committee after another that gently pushed and like changed certain words in the Bible to lead to certain outcomes and certain interpretations, right? So created, I would say no, but influenced, I would say yeah. I mean, you see it today. The Catholics are like saying being gay is cool now and stuff, and you see all these other Christian sects that are allowing very unchristian principles into their cloisters, So I think the same process has happened throughout history. It's just definitely being ramped up in the last half century or so.
Withdrawn voluntarily. However, I also think it should be made clear that this came following significant threats.
Abortion too. Yeah, the Catholics have gone mad. They've gone insane.
Which caused her to abruptly retract from the public eye as much as she could, and may have contributed to why the case ultimately disappeared.
Onias says Christianity was originally a sun cult, so yeah, it's probably had a few changes over the years. Okay, so I feel like you're going by the zeitgeist definition. You guys saw that documentary, Zeitgeist, how the 13 apostles are like, Aquarius and like the phases of the sun and stuff. Yeah, Christianity could pull from certain religions. I don't know if Christianity itself was actually originally a sun cult. I don't believe that. I am a Christian, and so you're gonna have to like. I mean, this is from my interpretation. There are some things in modern secular Christianity that are derived from earlier pagan religions. This is true. Yeah, this is true. But I just starting it religion and history is a very murky, muddy subject, right? Because not only has a lot of history been lost to time, but a lot of it has been fabricated and it's been changed, right? So, yes, there are some confluences in rites and traditions of modern Christianity with older religions, but that doesn't mean that Christianity was originally like a sun cult or something like that. They could have just melded through history and stuff. You know what I mean?
Legal team adamantly maintains to this day that
Son of God. I'm not saying, look, there's a lot of good points. There's a lot of good points in that. The Son of God, the one true Son, and like the entire like dying and then arose 3 days later, because that's what the sun does during the winter solstice, right? It sets, and then there's an imperceptible movement for the next 3 days until it starts rising back into the northern sky. There's a lot of good points about that. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, in my personal belief, that they may be melded together, but I don't think Christianity at its core was started as a sun cult. You know what I mean? Okay.
And the lawsuit was ever true, and that the entire thing was
Jesus, that's actually an interesting one.
Still, the spiderweb of connections, inconsistencies, and troubling coincidences only ever gets bigger when it comes to Epstein. July 2019, that's when shit really hits the fan. Finally, 14 years overdue, in fact, federal charges collide with Jeffrey Epstein, and the fallout begins immediately.
Okay, so Onias says early Christianity was influenced by sun worship, particularly through the cult of Sol Invictus, which celebrated the sun as a powerful deity. Many early Christians incorporated the elements of the sun. All right, I believe that. Worship into their practices, such as celebrating the birth of Christ on December 25th, a date that can coincide with the winter solstice and the rebirth of the sun. I believe this. I believe that. Yeah, there's no evidence that Jesus was born in a certain time at all. You know? I mean, like, there's some interpretations that, like, he was born in the spring and stuff like that. And some people have, like, arguments about, like, I don't know. I think I remember hearing one about, like, herding sheep. Like, people don't, like, herd sheep in the winter or something. I don't know. People have made certain points about that, but there's really not a lot of evidence about, like, specific days and dates and stuff like that. And it was a long time ago. History can be muddied in 2 millennia, you know? 2 millennia. That's a long fucking time. You know, I mean, but think about a photocopy, right? Think about photocopying something over and over and over again for 2,000 years. It's going to be a little fucked up. You might get the general gist of what the picture was, but it's not going to be perfect. I think it's very similar for historical facts and early Christian theology, right? People are just adding bits and pieces from former religions, and this is also true too, right? As Christianity spread across the world, it was also slightly changed because of previous religions being introduced. Their, like, Easter and stuff was, I think it was a Germanic holiday that was worshiping the spring, or it was something about fertility or something, and that's why rabbits and eggs are involved. So yeah, there's a bunch of weird shit like that going on. Yeah, a bunch of weird shit.
Alex Acosta, the one who cut him the initial illegal plea deal, is quickly forced to resign in shame. The power and political circles around the world begin turning their heads. But 1 month later, he's dead, and the number of questions surrounding how are immeasurable. Frankly, I couldn't possibly fit every single description.
I mean, basically every Western religion goes back to the Mesopotamians who were sun worshippers. That religion is the oldest religion, Zoroastrianism. I'm sure you could find some parallels in Zoroastrianism to modern day Christianity. I am sure you can. Does that mean? I mean, what does that mean? What do you think that means? Do you think that there was like an original religion and then it just got tweaked over the years and now we call it something else? It's possible. But I feel like it would be more ubiquitous. And there's so many different religions. There's like Hinduism, there's Taoism, there's fucking... And there's so many different things. I just feel like from so long ago, there would only be remnants, bits and pieces of like rituals and rites from that original religion. And yeah, they're going to show up from time to time.
Discrepancy or contradiction in a single YouTube video. The amount of things wrong on this honestly can't be explained. They just can't. But here's some bullet points. The initial Office of the Inspector General report openly states that right before Epstein died, as in a matter of hours, he was given an unmonitored phone call for 20 minutes with his mother. Except his mother had been dead for 15 years.
Weird. There's nothing weird about that. There's nothing weird about that. Yeah, call your dead mom. And then you're going to be dead in 15 minutes. You're going to be dead in 15 minutes. Call your mom, who is also dead, because you're going to be dead in 15 minutes. I'm the guard. I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to leave the door open, and then I'm going to unplug the cameras. And then, hey, guess what? I'm going to retire on some fucking island because I all of a sudden became a super duper millionaire. What are the chances? Or you can die. Or you can die. That's probably the deal they gave the guards. Look, they're like, hey, look, we can kill you, or we can just give you a bunch of money. And they're like, okay, I'll take a bunch of money. And can you blame them? Can you blame the guards? Being a guard probably sucks. It probably sucks. You just sit there and watch people age, and they hate you. You watch people who hate you, and you just watch them get older as you're getting older, right? And they just hate you. And then some guy comes in a nice suit one day, and he's all like, hey, let's say I give you $10 million, and then you just kind of like fuck off for 5 minutes. And then the guard's like, yeah, that's a good deal. That's a good deal. Knowing exactly what's going to happen. Come on. There was probably a lot of people involved in that entire Epstein cover-up. The people who removed his body, the people driving the ambulance and stuff like that. They were probably already either Mossad or CIA to begin with, but the people who weren't probably got paid very handsomely.
Yeah, right before his death, Jeffrey Epstein had a protocol-breaking 20-minute secret conversation with someone in Belarus after telling the guards it was his mom. Want the video footage?
Social Observer says, didn't Jesus say the kingdom of heaven is within and not to form a religion around him, and that the true ecclesiastical would be without authority and of the people? Just saying. But the Bible has been bastardized with retarded translations. Yeah, those are both good points. Yeah. I mean, the Bible has been bastardized. This is probably a for certain, right? With bad translations and intentional mistranslations too. Don't forget, it's intentional mistranslations. Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, you just have to kind of follow your gut and follow what you feel is to be right. I mean, that is the most important part, right? I mean, it's difficult because you want a guide, you want a book, a manual about like how to do shit, right? And how to like follow and like be good and stuff like that. But, you know, it's not that easy. You know, it's not going to be a book. You kind of have to do it yourself, right? Which is honestly better, right? It's just better. You can't completely follow the Bible. It's just, you have to do your best.
No, accidentally
That's just
deleted
it,
because of a
you know?
technical problem. Guards monitoring prisoners, should we expect
It's almost
that?
like you need to have faith.
No.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's like the whole damn point.
They fell asleep, then falsified reports to make it seem like someone had been checking on him, and he was on suicide watch and left alone, and his cellmate was transferred out, and a whole huge number of things. And with numerous other conflicts all over the place, errors and violations, unimaginable amounts, the idea that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself became widely disputed. In the aftermath, Wired magazine published data on the cell phones that had visited the island, hundreds of them, extensive amounts of data actually, indicating that with proper resources, this type of high-level operation could absolutely be investigated further, right?
That's a magazine that did that. A magazine tracked every cell phone that went to Epstein Island. That is a huge data. I mean, like, that's a huge data leak, right? People are like, oh, fuck, we forgot. We probably should have told them not to bring their phones. Oops.
Easily. Another of Epstein's victims came forward, speaking to CBS News this time, and claimed that his properties had extensive video surveillance inside them, including pinhole cameras in practically every room. Quote, the main thing he did when I walked in, and I thought was interesting, he showed me where the cameras, the men monitoring everything, were. So if you're facing the house, there's a window on the right that's barred. That's the media room, is what he called it. And so there was a door that looked like an invisible door with all this limestone and everything, and you push it and you go in. And I saw all the cameras. It was like old televisions, basically, like stacked. They were monitors inside this cabinet, and there were men sitting there. And I looked on the cameras and I saw toilet, toilet, bed, bed, toilet, bed. I'm like, I am never going to use the restroom here, and I'm never going to sleep here. You know what I mean?
I mean, you got a lot of people taking dumps. There's a lot of people taking dumps on camera. That's just a ton of people taking dumps on camera. What do you do with that? Do you have a dump highlight reel? Or just like, oh, these are the bloopers. Look at this guy fall over.
It was very obvious that they were like
That's
monitoring private moments. End quote. Combining the previous charges from 2005, combining the accusations with witness testimony like we just discussed, and considering the fact that Epstein owned his own private island, multiple other properties as well, with his own private plane flying between them, where hundreds of the world's most powerful business...
Earlier, Social Observer says omitted 77 books from the Bible. Yeah. Yep. Omitted. By decision. There was a committee that made a decision to omit a large portion of the Bible. Like, that's not holy enough, so we're kicking that out. That's strange. I mean, there's a whole book about some guy going on a spaceship and like talking to angels that were some sort of translucent beings in some sort of high tech. It sounds like was it Ezekiel or something like that? I don't know. It sounds like a spaceship. It sounds like he went up on a spaceship and talked to aliens. But it got erased. It got taken out. It was a book of the Bible. It got taken out of the Bible, and now it's no longer part of the Bible. I forget exactly what it was called.
Businessmen, politicians, and celebrities would...
is it the Book of Enoch? Sulk-Stein on the Book of Enoch. Yeah, I think it was the Book of Enoch.
...frequently go. It became abundantly obvious to the entire world that the corruption didn't...
Art and Shire, you're probably 100% right.
...stop with Epstein. It went deeper than that. Well, that's not what they're telling you to believe now. As of July 2025,
Gospel
a joint
Thomas?
Department of Justice FBI memo
was it? I don't know what the Gospel of Thomas is. Is that what I'm talking about?
was
I don't know.
released, stating that the case was closed and there was nothing more to see. But in the background, this is probably a crass way to put it, but the levees broke. Trump's voter base are not buying it, not in the slightest.
Nah. except for maybe Cat Turd and probably a lot of other boomers that are buying it. They're like, oh, there was never an Epstein list at all. So, whew, let's get back to being boomers and drinking pina coladas and, not talking to our grandkids. Because I feel like that's very common among boomers, right? Not all boomers, but there's a lot of boomers that are very involved with their own lives. And, like, they got a lot of money, and so they like to travel and, like, do their own stuff. And so it's like, yeah, that just, it just seems like that. There's a lot of boomers that just don't, very self-focused.
Which only infuriates him further, obviously, and his critics have open season on demanding disclosure for a bipartisan issue of obvious corruption, to which, it seems, he is now the only barrier. Here's an example of what I'm talking about, okay? Author Michael Wolff, who previously published multiple books highly critical of the Trump administration, has now claimed to the Daily Beast in an article titled "Trump Held Talks on Pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell," quote, "They did everything together, and this is from sharing, pursuing women, hunting women, sharing at least one girlfriend for at least a year, and this kind of rich guy relationship with each other's planes," end quote. And this type of claim in a vacuum would be fairly easy to ignore, but none of this is happening in a vacuum, right? A disgruntled author or a critical author or somebody who is an enemy of the current administration saying something like this by itself off in the distance, that really wouldn't matter. But let's focus on the word planes. Look at this post. This is Donald Trump, Truth Social 2024. Quote, "This is what the Democrats do to their Republican opponent who is leading them by a lot in the polls. This is AI, and it is very dangerous for our country. Also,
this is another, AI is actually really flipping the script about things because a lot of the political system is built on blackmail, right? But now you can accurately replicate all kinds of pictures, all kinds of videos that most people, especially boomers, would have no idea is real or not. They would just assume they're like, my father-in-law sends us stuff and he's all like, wow, look at this is crazy. And then we're all like, this is AI. And he's like, oh. They don't know. They have no idea what modern technology is capable of, and they're very trusting of what they see on the media, on the news, whatever's put in front of them. They kind of assume is true because it's just easier, right? So AI it's really disrupting the system, right? And this is good and this is bad. Right? A lot of people can just claim that's not me, that's AI. But a lot of people could try to blackmail people with AI videos, and that'll work too. So what do you trust these days? What do you trust these days? There are AI videos out there that could fool very tech-savvy people. There are very, very good ones. And even if there aren't, there's going to be very, very good ones very, very soon. What do we do then? What then?
I was never on Epstein's plane or at his stupid island. Strong laws ought to be developed against AI. It will be a big and very dangerous problem in the future. End quote. Just read that again. I was never on Epstein's plane. That is a lie. As part of Maxwell versus the United States, Ghislaine Maxwell being the woman that Trump allegedly considered pardoning, according to the author Michael Wolff, and Epstein's co-conspirator who helped traffic young women. As part of her trial, we actually got to see the flight logs.
Nice.
There's a lot of stuff that got released already, but tucked away inside the documents, we can see that Donald Trump flew on Epstein's plane 7 separate times across the span of just a couple years. One such flight was literally only him and Epstein, no one else. And yet he is lying to the world with claims that he never flew on the plane. Just a couple of years ago, practically everyone in his current administration, director of the FBI, attorney general, counselor to the president, the vice president, and his own sons were vocally demanding the release of the Epstein files promptly. But now...
because it was politically... it was publicly supported. Right? The entire Epstein thing blew up And then people wanted answers and stuff like that. And they jumped out of they promised things and they didn't deliver, right? And now they're walking it back. And because they just took advantage of an opportunity. And now they're like, okay, now that we won, we don't have to follow through. It's a very, very politician, right? When Trump became president in the first time in 2016, people were really behind him because he wasn't a career politician and stuff. But now he kind of is.
Suddenly, they want you all to stop talking about it. As part of this,
Ardenshire says, yeah, we all knew Trump was on the list. It would have been odd if he wasn't. Exactly. I mean, a lot of people, Elon knows. And he crashed out and he was all like, Trump F's kids and stuff like that. And it didn't really surprise. I mean, it surprised some people. It surprised people that he said it, right? But like, it didn't surprise me. I wasn't like shocked by that. I mean, if he didn't do that, I'd be like, okay, that's actually more surprising. It would be more surprising if he didn't.
Cover up, which is really the only accurate word to describe it now.
Ardenshire says, basically, it's weird if a politician isn't a kid fucker. Yeah, it is. That's weird. Because they wouldn't be a politician if they weren't. Right? They wouldn't get so far in politics if they didn't have that blackmail over them.
Administration released almost 11 hours of jail footage. But the footage doesn't match the initial OIG report.
Fat Geralt says, truths are illusions, which we have forgotten are illusions. Nietzsche. Okay. Okay, I guess I could buy that.
A Wired investigation first discovered that the footage had been altered using Adobe Premiere Pro editing footage, and then discovered...
Social Observer says, Trump's loyalty to Lindsey Graham and not Massey tells the whole story. I wish I knew more about the context of that, but I just don't.
That it wasn't just 1 minute that was missing, it was 3 minutes that were cut out. The claim was that they had given us raw surveillance footage, but when you feed something into an editing program, cut 3 minutes out of it, and then badly stitch it back together, that's not raw footage. That's a cover-up. Want more? Okay, that's easy. Turns out that right about the same time that they launched this sort of ridiculous denial campaign, the State Department...
boomers were Hog Talk says boomers were all into fucking kids. Mid 70s and even mid 90s humor was all about old dudes chasing underage poon. So wasn't Brooke Shields in Playboy when she was like 13? What year was I think that was like in the 70s or something. She was in Playboy when she's like 13. She was like naked and shit like that. I was like, oof. Those are collector's items now, but it seems wouldn't that be like a crime? Wouldn't that be a crime now? Like, I know they're collector's items and stuff like that, but can you sell them? Can you trade them? Because isn't that a crime? Isn't that like a very serious crime?
was also dismantling the team that combats human trafficking.
Yeah.
And sure, that's a pre-planned initiative on its own timeline. But what about this? What do you call it when the president, who was close friends with the convicted trafficker and then lied about flying on his plane, fires the prosecutor of Ghislaine Maxwell's case, right as the world starts thinking, wait a second, you're definitely lying to us about Epstein. They abruptly fire the prosecutor who helped convict the co-conspirator. It really honestly never ends. Sitting in the White House during a cabinet meeting, Trump steps in when Pam Bondi was asked about the Epstein situation, and he says, do you even want to answer that, calling it a waste of time? And then proceeded to talk about what kind of gold paint to use on the molding in the room. Speaking to the press, Trump now claims that
Ardenshire says, in reality, looking at history, it only recently had it been deemed a problem. Weird to think about. Elvis was a pedo too. Well, this is what I'm talking about, the entire control of media and intelligentsia. They push it to be a problem in the media, and they like rile people up, especially like women and stuff like that, because women are very they look out for each other, and so they'll look out for younger women and like older. So they'll get women riled up about it, and then they'll blackmail politicians for doing it when it was actually very common a long time ago. This is just history. I'm not like condoning it in any way. Don't, you know. But this is kind of how the conspiracy goes. They create a certain narrative in society and then force or, catch or let's say entrap politicians violating that societal norm and then blackmail them to get them to do what they want them to do.
That the Epstein files were, quote, made up by Comey.
Stick with robo fucking. It'll keep you out of trouble. Dude, the entire thing with like Grok and like Grokina, the cyber pussy and stuff, and the upcoming robo women, which are going to be a very real reality. Trust me, the Japanese are working diligently on that. It's going to be a society ender. Maybe this is the Fermi paradox, right? Where, you know the Fermi paradox? Like, we're life. We know life exists everywhere on Earth. Why isn't life plentiful in the universe? We haven't seen a speck of it in all the thousands of planets that we've discovered. Even in habitable zones, we haven't seen one iota of intelligent life. And maybe this is the great filter. Maybe this is why the Fermi paradox exists. You get to a certain point in technology where you don't have to listen to women. and then everyone just fucks robots until the entire society dies out. And that's just happened thousands, millions, maybe billions of times in the universe. And we're just at this specific point in our technological advancement where we're advanced enough to have all these like splitting the atom and space travel and stuff. But we haven't quite made it to that type 1 civilization where we get to fuck robo pussy. And then that's when we all perish. Maybe, maybe, but it will be a very serious problem in the future. How will we get around it? Will we become some sort of fully cybernetic organisms? Will biologics die out completely, and then we'll be left with just kind of computer brains? I don't know. I don't know anything about that. That's for the future.
Obama and Biden, even though his second arrest and subsequent death
crank that hog, yeah,
during and under
cyber
Trump's
hog
first presidential administration. Listen to this one, because there's a lot of them, okay? Like, he's not shutting up about it. And then
Fat Girl says, the pinnacle of science and technology, a way to get away from women. Yeah. I mean, that is the holy grail of tech, is a way not to deal with women anymore. we have to have our smartest scientists find out how to keep women silent. Haven't figured it out yet. In fact, it's getting worse. The problem is getting worse. Now we're actually listening to them. We let them vote. We let them have a very large share in the control of society. Remember, women are the majority of the population. So allowing them to vote means basically we have to do whatever women say. It is a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. Obviously, because look where we are now.
We're going to talk about yet another connection. Here it is.
I know you've urged people to move on, but I'm
That's
curious.
called a garage. Well, how do you keep your wife out of the garage?
Why do you think your supporters in particular have been so...
Will you turn it down to 68? It's just a little bit too cold. And she's like, it's freezing in here. You're like, I'm comfortable. You're drinking beers next to your car. Nice. It sounds nice.
interested in the Epstein story and so upset about how it's been handled? Why do you think that is?
Buy a motorcycle.
Why they would be so interested.
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
dead for a long time.
I would buy a motorcycle. I've had a number of motorcycles in my life. I can't do it anymore. I'm a dad. I'm a husband and father now. I can't ride motorcycles. I've lost family members. I've lost friends. I can't do it, man. It's just, and I've almost died on motorcycles like a number of times. It's just not, I can't do it. Maybe later on in life when I'm not so needed, but right now I'm kind of important.
Time, but I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring.
Oh, I can't understand why it'd be. Now let me get on my fucking helicopter. Let me get on my fucking helicopter. Oh, you don't think? I don't know why anybody would be interested in that case. Well, I'm going to get on my gold-plated helicopter and fly to my sex island where I'm going to... Yeah, bro. I mean, come on. Really? Really? Really, bro? That's all I have to say about that. It's just really, bro? You can't understand why a super connected blackmailing organization that has influenced every politician on the face of the earth, including the royal family, all Western European nations, the United States, Mexico, probably even Putin was there, you know. You don't understand why people would be interested in that? In that news story of the century? Really, bro? Go get on your gold-plated helicopter. Just get on your gold-plated helicopter and go fuck your... Like, come on. That is a bold-faced lie. You can't understand why anyone would still be interested in that story. People are still talking about what JFK went through. What happened to JFK, right? People are still... I mean, even Lincoln getting shot. Even Lincoln getting shot. People are all like, is that above board? Is everything... Do we figure out everything about that? No, man. Probably not. Probably not. Get the fuck out of here. Are you for real? You're not. Come on.
Sorted, but it's boring, and I don't understand why it keeps going. I think, well, really only pretty bad.
Yeah, Couch Surfing says we used to ride a motorcycle to comedy clubs, and then we got married and had kids. So, yeah. Yeah, we used to be cool. Yeah, used to.
And people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going.
So, first of all, power, politics, money, crime, and sex.
Hog Dog says, my buddy just bit the farm on his. I know, man. Yeah, it sucks. I had good friends die. It sucks. It is what it is. I mean, like, and when you're on a motorcycle, especially when you got, like, a lot of power on that bitch, it's hard not to twist that throttle. I mean, it's just hard. You just want to pin it. And then, yeah, it's alluring. And then eventually you're going to go a little bit too far. Or maybe dude, I remember I was riding my motorcycle. It was a Suzuki Bandit. And it was a little bastard, was fast. And some 16-year-old girl, like, I was like tearing it down. Obviously I was speeding. And some 16-year-old girl just fucking didn't look my direction, just pulled down. And I had to fucking slam on the brakes. I almost laid it down. And then she was just like, oh, sorry, stopping right in front of me. Oh, sorry, stopping right in front of me. Right? And then she drove off. And, like, I got control of the bike. And I just did this. I just fucking flipped her off. I was just like, fuck you. Fuck, you almost killed me. You almost fucking killed me. Terrible. Did not even look. I saw her head.
The richest and most powerful people on the planet wrapped up in all of those things simultaneously. And Trump calls it boring. That's a choice. But this guy right here, laughing as he says it, that's Howard Lutnick. He used to be Jeffrey Epstein's neighbor. See, the cover-up doesn't work if you do it so badly that the entire world can see clearly. But for a political movement...
Do people like this have neighbors? No. Oh, you live in the next... You live 5 acres away on your castle? You're my neighbor.
That operates on the principle of blind loyalty. Having people ask questions of you rather than your opponents only is...
Critical Thought says, what's up, y'all? Are we watching 1950s porn? Yeah, it's all bush. It's all bushes. It's just like fucking bushes everywhere.
Frightening. Look at this. This is a
bad makeup.
True Social post from Donald Trump, which has now been deleted, by the way, which reads, quote, the radical left Democrats have hit pay dirt again.
No, we're talking about the Epstein files. And you should have realized that from the title of the show, but I forgive you. You probably had porn on the brain. You got some pretty bad porn brain thought. I'm just saying.
Their new scam
you get that checked
is what
out.
we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Yeah. And my past supporters have bought into this bullshit hook, line, and sinker. And then lastly, quote again, I have had more success in 6 months than perhaps any president in our country's history, and all these people want to talk about, with strong prodding by the fake news and the success-starved Dems, is the Jeffrey Epstein hoax.
King says he requires Kirkland wine with my Sulk-Stream viewing. Are you drinking Kirkland wine? Please tell me you're drinking Kirkland wine right now. Apparently, I'll drink more Kirkland wine. I don't have any right now, but I'll do it again. If you guys want to pitch in for me to get a case of Kirkland wine, I'll have a few on stream, and we won't watch something so heavy, so meaty like this, but we'll watch something, and you'll watch me enjoy Kirkland wine.
The weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success, because
John Von Blomy says, dude was a power attorney over the CEO of Victoria's Secret. What a boring guy. This boring, right? I like your name, by the way. That's a funny name.
I don't want their support anymore. End quote. That
Box
is a
wine?
meltdown.
Box wine? I'll do box wine. I'll do a space bag. I'll sit here and I'll drink a whole damn space bag. You guys don't even know me. I'll do a jug of Carlo Rossi. Like 3 full liters. I'll do a jug of Carlo Rossi, and we'll just sit here while I do the whole damn thing. And you guys can donate, and I'll just sit here and I'll get wine drunk. Not this week.
It's a meltdown because practically his entire
We'll plan that for later on.
administration, even his family, advocated for and promised something, which for some unknown reason, he now doesn't want to show us. We've cycled through multiple separate tactics in record.
Oh, look, it's that Kash Patel guy. Why are so many fucking Indians? Oh, God, fucking Indians. And I know why. You don't have to answer why. And it's not because they're smart. Because some of them are kind of smart, but like, come on. Let's be real. Ben says, I had a motorcycle at age 18. Dangerous. I had a front tire blowout going 45. Oh, and I had to lay it down on the road. That bike scraping and sparking to zero. Wow, that's pretty cool, actually. Saw what could have happened to my body. Sold it. The guy I sold it to, I broke his leg in 3 places in 2 days. Damn. Cursed. That's fucking cursed. Yeah, I've heard stories of guys like buying like Ducatis and then on their way home from the dealership dying, right? Like a quarter mile down the road because they just got out and they fucking pinned it and they got hit by a semi or something. People, I mean, riding bikes, especially on the road, it's not as dangerous if you're doing it safely, but no one does it safely because like you just want to pin that thing. You want to go as fast as you possibly can. And trust me, I 100% understand. It's not about driving safely. You can drive a bike relatively safely. You're still going to be a lot more likely to die on it, but no one's going to drive it safely. It's not fun like that. And it's about fun.
Time. First, release the files. We demand you release the files. But that pretty quickly became some sort of...
Do a shoey, drink a champagne out of a shoe like the Aussies do? Why would I do that? Why would I do that? Why? Why? No, why? I don't know why they do it. Why would I do it if I don't know why they do it?
Bogus PR stunt ploy. We're releasing the files, but it's actually less than was publicly...
King said I had a V-Star. That's cool. And laid it out after hitting a rock and going into a field. I lit a cigarette and drove 20 miles home and sold it the next week. Damn. Yeah, luckily I never laid down any of my bikes. I do dirt bikes count? I guess they would. Yeah. So yeah, I have crashed on a dirt bike, not my street bikes. None of my street bikes I ever had to lay down. Almost a couple of times, but never actually had to lay down my street bikes. But I don't ride that. Like the most I have now is like a little. I have a little trail bike that goes maybe 25 miles an hour. I also have my e-bike, which is pretty fast. That goes like 35, but it's not really a motorcycle. It goes 35 miles an hour. It's an e-bike. It does accelerate pretty quickly though, because it's got 2 motors. It's got 2,000 watt motors, And so it'll get me going pretty fast, which is sweet. It's a lot of fun, actually.
Available for a decade. When that failed, suddenly the files don't exist. There's nothing to pursue. The case is closed. Stop caring about this. And finally, when people refuse to stop caring, okay, fine. There's files, but the Democrats made them up. It's a hoax. You're an idiot if you fall for it, and I don't want your support. That's where we're at currently.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's a bold move. Are we still playing 5D chess, 4D chess? Because that being a bold move does not make it a smart move. In fact, that's an insanely stupid move. That's a very poor move. Saying that if you care about the Epstein files, you're falling for a Democrat hoax it's bold, but it's very stupid. It seems stupid. Maybe I'm just not smart like Trump. I think Trump is a smart guy. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's a big dumb idiot like a lot of the left think. I think he's a smart dude. But that seems extremely stupid. Right? Maybe I'm just not as smart as him and he's got some sort of like trap he's setting up or something. But that seems extremely stupid. To me. But I'm not a politician. You know, I'm not a super genius millionaire politician.
You want this thing? Never mind. That thing doesn't exist.
Boomers
Fine,
will
yes.
believe it. That's true, Onius. Boomers will believe that. They'll believe anything, though. Like, they'll believe they'll believe Johnny Depp is hitting them up on Facebook and he needs money. So, like, convincing boomers of things is not very difficult. Especially, look, ever since the boomers were kids, they had the television, right? They're the first real generation to have a television in basically all their homes. And I think it was illegal to lie to Americans on the TV for a very long time until Obama came around. So they're kind of programmed to believe that the TV is telling them the truth. And that media sources are not allowed to lie, but that's not the case at all, right? Modern news, today's news is much less about factual delivery and much more about entertainment and like ratings and stuff like that. And obviously they're dying, right? There's people on Twitter who have much greater reach than like Fox or CNN or any of these old legacy media outlets. And the only demographic they actually appeal to is dying out in droves, especially since the old Squirty shot back in 2021. So you got to do what you got to do. But yeah, they'll believe anything. I mean, they will believe anything. Like doing Daywave has shown me, but not only that, there's also boomers in my life, and they will believe anything. It's crazy. It's crazy. They don't even fact check anything. But you know, fact checking is kind of bullshit these days too, because Grok lies to you. Everyone knows Grok lies to you. Google lies to you. Where are you actually gonna fact check? You go to a fucking library and like look through books? No one's doing that. Who knows what's real these days? But I know the boomers are fooled by a lot of shit. That is just a fact.
It does exist. It's a hoax. The 5 stages of cover-up, let's call them. I'll leave you with...
Onia says boomers are the height of monoculturalism. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I let the cat out.
The most recent substantial development is that GOP members have now blocked a Senate resolution to release the files. But the sad, unending truth is that the spiderweb of corruption is so intricate and so large, neither party is innocent, not by a long shot. Epstein was connected at the highest levels of government and financial power across the entire world, even as far as the royal family in England. But for the sake of simplicity, here it is. Epstein was arrested and basically let go in 2005. The man who helped make that happen went on to work in Trump's first-term administration. During the end of that term, Epstein was arrested and died, which meant that the primary investigation and buildup
died. Epstein's not dead. There's no fucking way Epstein's dead. That's just everybody, except for maybe boomers, knows that Epstein's not dead. Everybody, except for maybe boomers, knows that the 9/11 thing was just not possible, right? Everybody knows. Everybody knows there's something up, right? Entire generations, except for the boomers. And still to this day, my boomer parents will be like, no, 9/11, it happened exactly. No. They don't even know what building number 7 is. Never heard of it. Never even heard of it. And they were there awake on that day. I was with them. I remember it too. And it wasn't until a few years later I'm like, wait. Well, like 10 years later probably. I was all like, wait. What the fuck happened? Not them. That they never had that epiphany. Never in their minds. Never a seed of doubt. Never. Amazing.
All happened under Trump. Trump used to be friends with him, best friends, according to one, a great guy, according to the other.
King of all pixels says, I said it before, Daywave teaches more than most colleges. Yeah, come on, that's not even tough. It's not hard. You know why? Because most, look, Daywave has a very male-centric viewership, right? Not to say that women don't watch Daywave, but colleges are almost exclusively women. I think they're 60% women or something like that. Again, the education system, including colleges, is designed for women. So it is designed to lie to women. And women are very easy to lie to, right? If they weren't easy to lie to, there wouldn't be so many single mothers. You know? It's just a fact.
Allegedly weighed pardoning his co-conspirator, used the same lawyer as Epstein, Alan Dershowitz, who also represented figures like O.J. Simpson and Harvey Weinstein, and he has flatly lied about...
Ben says, I believed it for a couple of years until I didn't. Yeah, well, of course you're going to believe it. You're just going to believe it until you... Look, yeah, I don't fault you for that at all. I believed it too, even though I was a little kid when it happened, so I just believed it. You know, I was just like, oh man, that's crazy. That's fucking wild. Until you get older, and then you're like, wait, what? The Pentagon. Wait, there's an entire another building that did not get hit by a plane. Wait a second. Hold on. And then it just starts falling into place. Everything starts falling into place. And then it's like, ugh, God. They got you again. They got me again. Luckily, I was young enough to be like, not embarrassed by it. Right? You fooled me as a child. Congratulations. Right? Now, I feel like a big reason why a lot of the boomers don't accept these kind of conspiracy theories, is because they were mature, thoughtful adults when they got fooled. Right? It's much easier to lie to somebody than to convince somebody that they've been lied to. I forget who said that, but that is an absolute fact. No one wants to realize they got tricked as an adult at their peak. Nobody wants to do that. And so they will hang on tooth and nail to a very clear, obvious lie until they cannot hang on to it anymore. And, they'll probably die believing it.
Flying on Epstein's plane. His name appears in Epstein's little black...
And what if the trillions lost, disappeared? There was also a lot of gold inside the North Tower, I think it was. There was a lot of... And there was there was also some sort of trillions of dollars. Yeah. All kinds of records that just happened to disappear. Very damning records. What happened to trillions of dollars? Well, we don't know. They were inside the Pentagon. They were inside building number 7. They were inside this blah, 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 blah. Wow. A lot of very convenient coincidences. A lot of very, very convenient coincidences. I can't believe how many convenient coincidences happen. I also can't believe that planes took down towers designed to be hit by planes. I can't believe that. And I can't believe a tower collapsed for literally no reason. Building number 7 collapsed for no reason. They didn't even bother to be like, there was a bomb in it? Nothing like that. Nothing like that. Oh, they said it was on fire. It wasn't. It was not. It just decided to fall into its own footprint at the free fall speed of gravity for no right. I'm like, how do people actually believe this though? How do people actually? I mean, maybe they don't know about building number 7, but fine. Okay, you don't know about building number 7. How do you believe about the first 2 fucking buildings? Do you have like a 3rd grade understanding of like engineering and physics and science and shit like that? Do you not understand the basic world you live in? How that's fucking impossible? How that's never happened before in history and never happened since in history? You don't question it. That's the thing. This is the thing about the boomers that is the most successful thing. That MK Ultra, Project Mockingbird, in Central Intelligentsia, whatever. This is the most successful thing they've ever done with the boomers. And that's to teach them not to question it. Not to question basically fucking anything. Basically fucking anything, right? They just thought they were in charge and no one would ever lie to them. They're too important. They're too smart to be lied to. They're too goddamn important and too goddamn smart to be lied to. That's what they convinced them of. That's what they taught them day after day, year after year, that they're just too good. They're just too fucking good. Gassed them up for decades, and then fucking rug pulled them, and they didn't even know they were standing on a fucking rug.
Book, which is a contact list, not so much
crazy.
a client list. I talked about that in the first video I did. But that little black book only appeared after a man named Alfredo Rodriguez attempted to sell it to the press. One of the things he allegedly also...
John Von Blomey says they had to find out about something being there last minute, because how the fuck do you go through all of that planning and then not account for an excuse for an entire other fucking building collapsing? Yeah.
did was to circle...
Oh, yeah. And a third one. Right? That's... I mean, like, you couldn't even say... I feel like that was just poor planning, right? You couldn't even throw another plane. You didn't have a budget to throw another plane at it. Was there another plane that was just like, oh shit, we forgot about the plane that was supposed to hit that one? Oof. It's okay. Let's just pull it anyway. Just pull it anyway, and then we'll just not talk about it.
the names of people closely connected, the ones who would bring down the empire if they got caught. And Donald Trump's name, which appears with 12 different phone...
Ardenshire posted my bonfire link. If you guys want to buy a shirt, buy a shirt. There's lots of good shirts out there. We've ordered a few. They look great. You'll see my wife out on the town wearing them. They look awesome. Buy a shirt. Support the channel. Chip in any way you possibly can. I immensely appreciate it.
numbers attached to it is circled. I don't personally believe that there's like a literal physical documented list of who did what, when, and how much. But the same way Wired magazine can find out cell phone tracking data and cross-reference that with the names of people who flew to the island, the FBI and the DOJ could certainly pursue the ones that are closely connected to Epstein instead of openly...
Yeah, the FBI, the DOJ, huh? There's no way they're controlled. Right. There's no way there's any sort of corruption going on there. Carry on. Yeah, there's no sort of problems with, the FBI, the DOJ, the fucking FDA, the fucking WHO, the fucking any list of these government agencies that have been lying to our faces for, our entire lives. There's no problems. So why don't we just ask the FBI to look into it? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's gonna do a lot of fucking good. It's gonna do. See, this is like the things that I'm like, well, what do we do? Every organization is deeply under control. Our entire government has basically been weaponized against us. It makes you feel hopeless.
You're telling the world,
It does.
just look the other way. At the end of the day, this is a cover-up. It's not a hoax. It is not boring, not by any stretch, and it certainly isn't going to just
That's
disappear.
boring. And Epstein's dead, and that's just boring.
Because Trump tells the world to forget about it. And that, I think, is what truly, really terrifies him. People that support Trump have a level of blind loyalty that is almost unshakable.
Arden Shara says $2.3 trillion to be exact. God. Which was a lot of money back in 2001. $2.3 trillion was a lot. I know it sounds like chump change now that we're like $36 trillion in debt. Dollars. Like dollars mean anything. It's funny because the boomers don't care. A lot of them, not all of them, right, have made so much fucking money that they can pay $30 for a cheeseburger, right? And they're all like, well, why can't you just pull yourself up by your bootstraps? Well, because a cheeseburger costs $30 fucking dollars. You know, you got to pay fucking $3,000, $4,000 a month for rent, right? You just keep fucking printing money, and you have millions buying properties. You know, you bought fucking. You bought like 5 acres of land for what cost the same price a sandwich would cost me. You know, I have to order Taco Bell. I have to finance it through like through like Zelle or some stupid bullshit and pay for my tacos in installments. Right? And pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You keep printing billions and billions of dollars. Like, and this isn't an accident. It's obviously not an accident. It's not going to be fixed. It's not going to get better. Inflation is not going to slow down. It is only going to speed up, and it's going to get worse and worse until this turns into another Weimar, and then or another Venezuela, or another Tanzania, or just you know, you're going to get $1 trillion bill, and we'll be able to buy you a soda, right? And people's fucking savings will be wiped out. Don't fucking buy Bitcoin. Buy gold. Buy gold, buy silver, buy bullets. All right? That's what will help you. Don't buy Bitcoin. Don't buy fucking meme coin, because that shit's probably controlled anyway. Right? I mean, if you haven't, you're making money on it. Good for you. Good. I wouldn't. I mean, I have, but I wouldn't now. Because, like, you never know. It could hit 120K. It could hit $1 million fucking dollars. And then all of a sudden, oh, we just decided to steal everybody's money. We could rug pull the entire thing. Nobody knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is. Nakamoto, something like that. No one knows who that guy is. He would be a trillionaire. Nobody knows who he is. There aren't any trillionaires running around. I feel like it'd be pretty obvious if some guy had $1 trillion. You know? Elon Musk doesn't even have $1 trillion. Everybody knows who he is. There are people with trillions of dollars, but they're like the Rothschilds and shit. And you're not allowed to talk about them.
Emphasis on the word almost, to a point where he bragged about walking down Fifth Avenue, shooting someone, and still enjoying support afterward. But one of the final unimpeachable issues that people still care about is the type of evil that...
Ben says, okay, this is my goal. I find a prepper house, blow them up, and steal all their cool stuff. Yeah, this is another thing about like prepping and shit like that. That's largely useless. Prepping, and I'm not saying like having like a decent supply of food and water and maybe a gun and some ammunition is a bad idea. But that is not a bad idea. That's a great idea. Every American should have something at least basic like that. I'm saying spending $500,000 on a fortress and then, you know, having a fallout shelter and like 30 years of food. That's a bad idea. You're making yourself a target, and they'll be like, yeah, I'm going to be, but you know, there's no way they're going to get past me with my guns. Yeah, they will. Yes. Yeah, they will. Yeah, they will. They absolutely will. 100%. I am 100% positive. You'll get sick, won't be able to defend yourself. You're going to break your leg or something like that, won't be able to defend yourself. You're going to be a target, right? If you have that kind of shit going on, you're just going to get fucked, dude. You don't even realize. Like, the best protection in a shit hits the fan kind of situation is your community. It will always be your community. It'll be your friends and family members that live around you. They're going to look out for you. They're going to help you survive. And this is how it's been since the dawn of time. You can't just fucking put a bunch of beans in a cellar and just sit there watching Friends reruns, dude. You're not going to survive. You're going to die almost immediately. You might be the first one to go. This is why it's so funny that these billionaires are building these billion-dollar bunkers in like Hawaii and shit like that. I'm like, good fucking luck. Yeah, you're going to have the ability to have drones with armed weapons that are going to hunt people and kill them on sight. Sure. But then it's just going to be your stupid ass sitting in the fucking bunker for the rest of your life. No opportunity to leave or anything like that. It's the stupidest thing you could possibly do.
That Jeffrey Epstein fully represents, which has turned this case into just a total lightning rod. The Epstein cover-up has rapidly become...
Hogg says $500,000 won't get you a house in the burbs, much less a bunker. Yeah, well, I mean, you get the point, though.
Trump's nightmare. That's it. If you want to support the channel, check out the links down below. The video sponsor, of course, locals and Patreon, monthly memberships. That's the best way by far. A special VPN deal, merchandise.
Ben says, well, I pay taxes, Sulk, so I trust the government to protect me. Or he does this, or not. Not. Is not. You doing that like Borat? Not. Yeah, that government, they're really gonna do me a solid and protect me good, as they always have. And there's no way that they've ever set up anything negative for anybody ever in the history of time. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me tonight on the Sulk stream. I am the Incredible Sulk, and I hope you guys had a good time. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys appreciated my time as I've appreciated your time. If you'd be so kind as to hit the like button on your way out, I would obviously so appreciate that. Just like I appreciate you. And if you want to hit me on my Ko-Fi, please do not be afraid to do that. If you want to buy a t-shirt, please do not be afraid to do that. I would, again, I'll use the word again, appreciate it so much. Anyways, guys, tomorrow, right back here at the Sulk stream at 8 p.m., we'll be doing something else, diving into the mysteries of life, finding out more about this weird, dark world. Anyways, guys, have a good night. Be strong, be faithful, help each other out, talk about the cult, spread the word of the cult. Drink a lot of water, get a good night's sleep, and take care of yourselves because I care about you too. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you. Good night.
I'm an incredible soul, unhinged and enraged like a bulldog's fierce growl. I'm spitting fire, burning through these trees, questioning the world, unraveling conspiracies. Talking about Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster too. Government lies, they're feeding me their goo. I'm diving deep into this rabbit hole, uncovering the truth, setting fire to their control. I got small nipples, but my voice is loud, blowing like thunder in this crazy crowd. They say I'm crazy, but I call it woke, unraveling the madness with every word I spoke.